Hi, I'm Megan. Today I'm going to be responding to the claim that stay-at-home dads and working mothers can benefit children. I will refute the secondary claims that 1, stay-at-home dads can form beneficial bonds with their children. 2, working mothers still engage with their children. And 3, fathers have a different way of parenting that positively affects children. Let's move to my first refute of the supporting claim. Stay-at-home dads can form beneficial bonds with their children. I found this to commit the fallacy of circular reasoning because the advocate is essentially repeating the aspects of the claim using different wording. Stay-at-home dads can form beneficial bonds with their children is kind of the same thing as benefiting the children as the main claim states. And while the claim may be true, stay-at-home dads can also not form a bond with their children. As the advocate mentioned in her introduction, because of the tough economy, unemployment rates have increased faster for men than for women over the past years, resulting in more women going to work and more men staying at home taking care of the children. Stay-at-home dads can and do neglect their children. According to a 2009 report from CBS News, unemployment and financial difficulties are associated with increased rates of child abuse. Abuse rates have spiked in the United States during the economic recession. While being interviewed by CBS News, Amy Terreros, a pediatric nurse practitioner at the Phoenix Children's Hospital, told the story of one of her recent cases. A father who was normally the working parent lost his job and became the primary caretaker of the child. And the child came into the hospital with not one but 2 broken arms, and the father's explanation of the broken arms did not match to the x-rays and scans, and the nurse could tell that it was child abuse. Yes, stay-at-home dads can form beneficial bonds with their children, but they can also abuse and neglect their children. Let's move to the secondary claim that working mothers still engage with their children. The advocate cited evidence from the claim from Susan Bianchi, a demographer at the University of Maryland, who said her 2000 research concluded that working mothers today spend the same amount of time with their children as stay-at-home moms in the 1970s. When I looked into it further, I found out that Bianchi concluded her research based off of time diaries from the 70s. That is, studies in which interviewers walk respondents through the previous day, recording all activities sequentially as they occur. Now, if I ask you to recall what you did yesterday hour by hour, do you think it would be accurate? The analysis was also biased because it was restricted to white 2-parent families with children. Also, there's no total number of time diaries cited. Not only is this evidence biased, it's insufficient, inconclusive, and not acceptable. It's safe to say that one shouldn't even compare today's working mothers with stay-at-home moms of 40 years ago, because the 70s was a way different world than now. The economic and social norms are incomparable. I mean, they didn't even have the internet, for heaven's sake. Another problem with the claim is that while working mothers still engage with their children for an average of 1.5 hours per day, when they do get home from an 8-hour workday, I think it's safe to say that they're tired and somewhat stressed. As my advocate stated herself, quality versus quantity, I don't think mommy time is going to be very quality if she's bringing home the bread and dog tired. And the third claim, that fathers have a different way of parenting that positively affects children. Although this claim may be true, it's very inconclusive and it's unquantifiable. I find it to be a weak point because when the advocate claims a father has a different way of parenting, well, this may be a tendency, but there's no research showing that the majority of fathers parent a specific way. Not all fathers encourage their children to tolerate frustration longer, and not all mothers are reassuring. I mean, I can say myself that my mom's the authoritarian in the relationship, and my dad I go to get out of trouble. So the difference between mother and father is not in parenting style. Is in parenting style. It's not gender specific. So in conclusion, the argument that stay-at-home dads and working mothers can benefit their children is not substantially supported by the secondary claims given. Although this claim may be true, there is insufficient evidence to factually prove so. Gender does not specify how you will parent. Multiple background factors determine people's parenting styles. There is no proof that it matters whether mom or dad stays at home or is the working parent in regards to benefiting the child. Thank you.
All right, all the structural stuff is fine. On the first point, the notion that it's a little bit circular depends upon what the evidence is that the advocate presents, and then you basically get into these alternate explanations based on neglect. And I thought that was an interesting idea. In fact, you had a good example to make that particular point. There could be some additional points that are developed here, and I thought that the press on the advocate's evidence was okay, but not strongly convincing, especially on the second point, where you basically kind of talk about what the problems with this, time diary challenge, and I thought, okay, well, maybe there's something wrong with this. I'm not sure that there is. I think you've got some better arguments suggesting that the comparisons are a little bit problematic based on the circumstances in which the moms are operating. I think I could see a little bit of that. And maybe the measurement of time is not the most essential issue. Rather, like you said, it's the bonding quality. And I think that that is a good point to be made. And there are plenty of arguments and authorities out there who've suggested that very thing. So I think you needed a little bit of evidence on that particular point. The challenge on the lack of research on the third point is, again, a pretty reasonable argument. You basically are challenging the advocate's reasoning based on the insufficiency of the evidence on most of these points. It's pretty clear why you see that there is a problem on those points. All right, thank you.